listening to KCFB Ferguson, 89.5 The Wave, and this is Fear the Dead Air with your host, JazzHandss.
When civilization ends, it ends fast.
That is right, you are listening to Fear the Dead Air with your host, the one, the only, your friendly neighborhood DJ, JazzHandss. I am here, and we actually got a bunch of people here today with us.
What?
We qualify as a... Hello?
Oh.
Hi there. We qualify as a bunch? Hey, there I am. We
Yeah,
qualify
there you
as
go.
a bunch?
Accidentally turned on the wrong mic. That's behind the scenes stuff. Don't. Shh. Well, yes, it's a bunch to start out with because it's always kind of been me for the first 10 minutes and stuff. And
That's true.
So we got the gang here together. Like I said, I'm JazzHandss, your friendly neighborhood DJ, and I am joined with Anna Mae and Paul, Nightcrawler himself.
Oh, God. Not that again.
Yeah, let's bring an oldie but a goodie. An oldie but a goodie.
You're going to bring back the past. All right.
So if you're new to the show, we are here to talk about last Sunday's Fear the Walking Dead episode. And if you are new to the show, welcome. We're a likable group of people, hopefully. Okay, so let's kind of just dive right into it because I know right now, at least for me, and from what I can kind of tell from everything on Facebook and the community of the Walking Dead kind of series and stuff, there are definitely two sides to the Fear the Walking Dead. And I'm on the fence, but I really think I'm leaning towards one side in which this series is not hitting with me.
Okay, what do you mean?
It's okay. So let's just kind of dive in right now. So what I'm necessarily talking about is that it's not hitting with me as like a fan. Like I'm liking it, and it has a really cool setting. Don't get me wrong. And this isn't going to be me pooping on the,
Every time Beth gets mentioned?
Well, okay, look, that's going to be a story for another day. I think I've said...
That's going to be a story for late October.
Yeah.
Yes, late October.
Mid-October.
October 11th is when The Walking Dead Season 6 comes back, which I am thoroughly excited for. But let's kind of stick on Fear the Walking Dead. So the one main problem that I'm actually really having with the series, and it happened kind of again with this episode, there was a lot of cool elements to the episode, I feel, when they were driving through the city. And you see the carnage, and you see people rioting, and walkers eating people, and everything like that. That was really creepy, and that was scary, and we've been dying to see stuff like that of what happened when the city fell, what happened when this happened, and that was really good. However, I'm having a problem really connecting with any of the characters. I feel that the characters are very, very kind of cold in how they act, and I'm just not connecting with them, and I feel by the third episode I should be more connected with these characters, and I'm just not connecting. I feel that they're very kind of selfish in certain ways, and not... It's because I know we're not supposed to... Because you and me talked about this for a second,
right.
Paul. We're not supposed to connect this with The Walking Dead. However, I can kind of connect it character-wise, because by the third episode, you cared about some of these characters already in The Walking Dead.
I see where you're going with that part.
Yeah, you cared about these characters. Now, I'm not comparing it to that, but character development-wise, like, by the third episode, you're supposed to have a feeling and connection to these characters. If it's not one character, it's another. But...
And I will say this, I am starting to develop a little bit of a connection to some of the characters. Mm-hmm. It's not... I keep saying I don't want to compare directly to...
That's what you're just telling him not to do.
But if you look at it from the same frame of reference, yes, I can agree with you. The character development is not as strong as early, but I do see these characters as having potential, especially the Salazars.
Yeah.
Ooh,
The Salazars,
I like
I really see them as having potential, and I'm going to go ahead and say it. I'm predicting we're going to be down to 2 Salazars before the end of this
I'm agreeing with you.
or this season, if not one, and I think it's going to be the daughter. If anybody makes it out, I think it's going to be the daughter.
Really?
Yeah.
Yes. I think if it comes down to it, because really the mother has a compound fracture, and I'm not getting the names correctly, and I feel bad for that. I know the daughter's name is Ophelia. The father's name is Daniel.
Yeah, I can't remember the mother's name.
But yeah. What is it? It's like Griselda or something.
Something like that. But yeah, she's not going to make it long.
Yeah, Griselda Salazar.
Yeah.
She's not going to be making it.
Because even Liza said, if she doesn't get treated properly by a doctor, she's going to die.
Uh-huh. And as we have seen already, if you die, you turn. If you turn, got to hand it to Daniel, headshots.
Yeah.
Headshots are the key. And I have a feeling if he has to kill his wife, it will kill him.
Yeah. I can see
That's why I'm predicting if we have any Salazars left, my first choice is going to be Ophelia. My second is going to be Ophelia and Daniel.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. As far as like Travis and Madison, the ones that they've introduced us to right from the beginning, Travis is kind of a weenie. I mean, as much as I hate to say it.
It's not even that like he's a weenie. It's that there's like he's really like we know that he's trying to kind of make his family work and be a good father to both his new family and
he has
his
zero survival instinct.
That's
man.
the thing.
Well, it's not even that it's a survival instinct because like that aspect of him is kind of, like cool because you're an average Joe. Rick was a cop and everything like that, and so this guy, and we've said this kind of before in previous episodes, but like. He is an average Joe. He's the normal man that kind of becomes a part of The Walking Dead. And so we get to see a normal person who has no military training, no nothing, become a quote-unquote badass.
But even so, some average Joes can, if the situation calls for it, can rise up. Like with him, I was just hoping that because he and Madison have both seen more than Nick and whatever the girl's name was. Well,
Alicia hasn't seen squat.
She hasn't seen much.
Nick has seen quite a bit.
Okay, yeah. Well, just trying to compare,
he was high out of his mind.
Yeah, that was the thing. He was high. He didn't know what he was seeing. But with Travis, it's like at this point he's seen that you can try and talk to them as much as you like. They're gone. There is nothing left but a rotting corpse.
Maybe because really, Travis. The difference I see between Madison and Travis, Madison has had to kill at least one of them.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Travis has not.
Yeah.
He was there when Cal was killed, but that was Nick.
True.
He was not there when Maddie bashed in Artie's head.
Yeah.
And so he has not had to... I liken Travis at this point, and I said we shouldn't do this, but... I liken Travis at this point where he is in the story arc to Herschel from The Walking Dead when he was, they're just sick. We're going to take care of them. We're putting them in the barn. We're hiding them away when they turn until they can come up with a cure. Yeah. Because Travis even mentioned when the neighbor was, mauling the dog and was coming after everyone else. Yeah, I know. I feel bad about that part too. But
I think that was the only death that people have actually really cared about in this show so far.
Not the puppy.
Yeah.
Not the dog. No.
Yeah.
And that was the name of the episode, The Dog. So
yeah.
For any of you that are out there looking at, big things coming on, that's one of those that's, that's a big spoiler. The dog, it's going to get it.
Yeah. It always seems to happen in those sorts of circumstances.
Travis even seemed to, kind of, oh my God, no, why are you shooting him? You shouldn't be shooting him. He's just sick.
Yeah.
And he doesn't quite get it yet.
And I liked what happened after that part. I know we're kind of in the middle of something, but I liked after that part that Paul just mentioned with him going, he's sick. Why did you do that? It's like, and Nick... This made me like Nick more than I had in the past few episodes because I really wasn't liking what was not becoming of him. But the fact how he was trying to deal with things. But what he says here kind of made me have a bit of more respect of him than I did in the beginning of the episode where he was crushing up pills. What he says in this was, I don't remember the exact quote. It's like, he's not sick, he's dead. They're dead. They're not alive anymore.
Yeah.
And it's just that, I don't know, I got it was might have just been me, but I actually got kind of a shiver from that. Like, you're speaking the truth, and Travis going, no, they're not dead, they're just sick. It's like, they're not sick, they're dead. Why did you say that? Because it's the truth. That's how life is now.
Yeah. See, okay, for that and for Nick's character and stuff, like, that was a very good moment, but also I kind of viewed it maybe differently than you.
Okay.
I viewed it more as him being kind of like a smart-ass, he know-it-all. That's what I really kind of view that as. He just seems like, oh, well, they're dead. They're dead. Like, it didn't come off like genuine, like a warning or anything. It just seemed kind of very smart-assy. And then any little kind of maybe good-hearted nature or character development that we got from him in that little moment, I feel was very, very taken away when later he found out that his mom gave some of the pain pills away, and he goes, well, I need him more. Like, that was very, very selfish to me, and that made me not like the character a lot. Like, I understand that, he's supposed to be a drug addict and stuff, but, I mean, it's clear that he's supposed to be a okay kid and a good person.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
However, because of that, like, moment, it becomes very spoiledish, and that's where I'm saying that these characters, like the daughter, the other son, I know I'm horrible with names, and it's going to take me a while to get their names.
You've got Alicia, Chris, Nick.
Yeah, but it seems that they're all very, 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 very spoiled.
Yes.
For no real, like,
LA kids?
big reason. I mean, you could say it's LA kids and just the nature.
I totally go LA kids.
But, like, I don't know. And this is where, too, I'm having
they're
problems.
not, if you look at the houses, they're not living in the crappy part of LA.
Yeah.
No.
They're living in the nice part.
Yeah, well, relatively nice. I mean, I'm assuming it can get nicer.
Oh, any place
yeah.
can get nicer, but they're not
They're not
living
in the slums.
Yeah, they're not living on the bad part of town. Now,
Yeah.
where the Salazars were kind of struck me as being the iffy side of town.
Yeah. And, well, I mean, it's clear, and the Salazars are, right now, they are the ones that are kind of, like, have a little inkling that knows, at least the, what's his name?
Daniel.
Daniel, I think, definitely has an inkling kind of what's going on, and I think it's not zombie-wise, but it's, he can sense, because he's probably been through it himself, of what happens when a civilization or when a country or whatever starts to fall apart.
Yeah, and I'm wondering if we're going to... I would like to know more. I mean, we know a little bit about their background. Obviously, parents traveled in from America, had a daughter who's been Americanized a little. But I want to, know exactly kind of what happened, because they've obviously, just like the mother said in the episode, we've been through worse than this. It's like, what could be worse than you almost getting crushed by, what was that, like a steel
It was like
thing?
a scaffolding.
I thought she was going to
something
die
like-
right there. I thought she was.
I was kind of surprised that she didn't.
Well, see, and this is where this is just a little prediction that I'm gonna go for. I assume that the infection throughout the time is gonna get worse, and by the end of the season or within a couple episodes, we're gonna get the quote unquote Walker bomb, and that's when they're gonna realize, oh, if we die, we'll turn too, and so they're speeding it up in that aspect.
No. Madison's already realized that when she pulled Liza away and said, "Hey, if that happens to me, you need to take care of this because Travis won't be able to do it. You need to kill me." So basically, she told her new boyfriend's ex-wife, "Hey, if I turn, put a bullet in my head, please, because he won't be able to."
Yeah.
That to me was very telling. Because A, she already realizes that there's a chance she may end up turning, whether it's through getting bit or just dying. And B, she realizes Travis doesn't have the stones to do it.
Yeah. Well, and see, because I don't know, I view that scene just because I don't think they still know how it's happening.
They don't.
They don't.
But they've already established, which really, in my mind, it blew me away that they've established so far. Within the first 2 episodes, headshots, and you don't need to be bitten
To turn.
Yeah.
Which the headshots, that thing's kind of that's a trope. But
That's a given. I mean, in almost
you
anything.
don't need to be bitten to turn. That was what we didn't get that until season 2,
Something like that, yeah.
season 2, season 3 of The Walking Dead.
What?
That you don't need to be bitten to turn. It was season 2 because it happened on Herschel's farm.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, well, it happened at the end, and that's when Rick. It happened at the end to Shane, and then that's when Rick said,
it happened
to the group, "We're all infected."
It happened to the dude that Shane took out into the woods and killed.
Yeah, that's
Rusty
that's
or
true.
Randy
that,
or whatever.
That was
And that's
kind of
when
like
you kind of like, oh,
yeah,
this
that
is
was like a
bad.
clue, and then when it's changed, it was kind of more confirmed. So
Right. So, all right. First off, I just have to ask: are you guys going to stick with it?
Yeah.
At least through season 1.
Yeah, I'll stick with it.
yeah,
Okay, because if any of you guys listen to Tez on Friday nights, he's like, "Man, I think I'm done. And I'm like, "No, dude, stick with it. Stick with it. Stick with it."
yeah, and see, this is where I say that I was definitely on the fence because I'm going to stick with it, and I might have sound like I was pooping on it because I'm not gravitating towards these characters. I think that these characters are realistically, I feel that these characters are kind of stereotypes of just characters that we've seen before, and they're not fully fleshed out, and in some aspects you can tell that this was very, let's throw this together real quick. However, I am going to stick with it because I am a fan of The Walking Dead, and I do have hopes that this isn't just a cash cow and it's going to come out and be something better.
There is one character that I am fully invested in, and I want to see more of.
Daniel?
Tobias.
Tobias?
Okay,
yeah.
I gotta agree with Tobias.
I really get Tobias. I mean, he is conspiracy nut. He is probably the guy who, gets busted going through the metal detector at school for wearing his tinfoil hat, the whole 9 yards, but he knew what was happening.
And he was already starting to stockpile.
He was already prepping for it. I mean, you talk about conspiracy theory loonies and whatnot, but, the saying about being paranoid, just because you're paranoid doesn't mean that they're not out to get you. Mm-hmm. And Tobias, to me, he is so far, aside from the Salazars, the most interesting character. He's the most interesting one that was there from the first episode. Let me go ahead and say that.
Yeah. And I mean, that's the thing, where a side character that probably was a kind of quote-unquote throwaway character.
Oh, no, we're going to see him.
Oh,
I hope so. It doesn't look like it from
no. We're going to see him.
It just seems like he might have been a throwaway character. Just a little to kind of introduce these characters into the possibility that something's going on. I hope we see him because I am kind of invested in him, and it's going to kind of be funny if he becomes the Morgan for Fear the Walking Dead.
I'm catching more of it. It's a toss up between. Well, okay, you're talking season 5 Morgan, right?
Yeah.
Okay, I was gonna say because I'm a toss up between season 5 Morgan or like season 2 Daryl.
Yeah.
I think he's going to be the. I've been prepping for this my entire life. They made fun of me. They picked on me. They beat me up. They gave me wedgies and swirlies. And now I have the boomstick and I know what I'm doing. That's kind of the vibe I get from Tobias. And God, I hope I'm right that that's the way they use that character.
Yeah. I hope so too. He seems like he seems like there could be definite potential there.
Yeah.
For him. Yeah. It's just some of the other characters that I'm having just a problem with. Now, okay, let's kind of, because we talked about like the characters, now let's kind of talk about what happened here. Let's talk about what happened in the episode after a quick little break.
Okay, sounds good.
Yeah, we're going to be taking a quick break here on 89.5 The Wave, Fear the Dead Air, but we will be back right after this. That is right, we are back with Fear the Dead Air here on 89.5 The Wave, and I am your host, your friendly neighborhood DJ, JazzHandss, and I am joined with the one, the only, Paul and Anna May. Anna May. And we are here talking about last Sunday's epic Fear the Walking Dead episode, and we kind of talked about characters a little bit. Now let's kind of just dive right into the episodes, what we liked, what we didn't like. Let's go. Paul, you start us off, because you seem to have like a lot to say about it.
There's quite a few things that I did like that I thought they did right in the episode. Starting off with the escape from the Salazar's barbershop, I thought that was done very well. It should have been longer. There were a lot of people that, were like, oh, well, why didn't they just try and, find some other way out and blah, blah, blah. And okay, I sort of see that, but no. When the building next to you is on fire and there are people that are rioting and looting and setting things on fire, you go. You get out.
Yeah.
I really like the fact that one of the main characters is already injured, possibly critically.
Yeah.
I love the fact that when they drove past the hospital, they slowed down enough and showed the police, or I think it was just the police officer. I don't think they had the military at the time, but pumping multiple rounds into a doctor that would not stop.
I thought it was a patient.
Was it a patient? I
yeah.
thought they were wearing a coat and the whole.
No,
okay.
it was a patient.
It was
like
one of those
blonde chick.
Oh, it was the buttless gown.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Buttless gown.
Yeah.
What's the only way you can call those?
I like that too, and I really kind of wish that we got maybe another episode or two of them actually trying to escape the city, because there's so much fun elements you can have in a city.
I agree with you, but I think what they were trying to do is avoid the season 4B issue where, everybody got separated and it takes the rest of the season for them all to come back together.
And I can understand them wanting to do that. However, they did promise us stuff in the city that we haven't really gotten. So having these walkers in the city, having total chaos because of riots in the street and everything like that could have the very, very potential to be extremely, extremely fun.
Oh, I totally agree. One of the best, in my opinion, the best scenes was when everyone was rioting, and I loved how it was people burning things, knocking over trash cans, flipping cars, and then you'd see a cop eating another cop's face.
Yeah.
Or you would see, this thing just walking along, and I didn't get to play with you guys last week. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
But one of the things I wanted to mention is the police know, and they know a lot more than they're letting on.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Because if you noticed in episode 2, when Chris was filming and the sheet blew off of the dead guy in the street that they were all rioting over, there was a shoulder wound and one right in the eye socket.
Yeah.
When the gal came up behind the female officer and she had turned and she's strutting up, the female officer turns around, shoots her in the shoulder. She doesn't stop. Bam, right in the eye. And so that to me kind of lets me know, okay, the police know that this is going on, that these people, aside from the officer stocking up on the water and whatnot.
Yeah.
But that brings me to the scene that they lingered on, which was the one officer in riot gear chowing down on the other officer in riot gear.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I'm like, okay, so that tells me that the police know what's happening, but they're not prepared for what's happening.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't think they're definitely prepared, and it makes you kind of wonder what Shane knew from The Walking Dead. If the cops knew in advance. But yeah, there's definitely, I liked that. And that's where I say you could have had so much more fun with the city and people rioting, and I kind of wish it was a little bit longer. And I understand paceness, and they don't want to dwell on, these people are separated and everybody's going to get separated.
Well,
in The Walking Dead.
Not to mention, everybody was complaining that it was running so slow the first episode or two, and it's like, okay, now they ramped it up. They sped it up.
Yeah.
Now people are complaining that
it was
they
too
didn't
fast.
last long enough in the city.
And this is what I think the problem is. It's for me, because I understand what you're saying. It's that they speed up past some of the good parts that we would have liked to seen, but then the slow parts, there's really nothing.
Yeah.
No real stuff to sink your teeth in and enjoy. So you're feeling kind of like
good choice of words there.
Oh, haha! I didn't even realize.
Oh, really? I thought
Yeah,
that was intentional.
I have pure genius. Like
when you're least
not
expecting
thinking,
it.
when I'm not thinking. It's a wonder I'm alive. Either way,
they could have done a lot more with that, and I agree with you. They squander a lot of opportunities early on, and they continue to squander opportunities to build these characters into something that you care about. But then when the neat stuff happens, it's like, bam, boom, it's done, and it's all over.
Back to story progression.
Yeah, and it's not. And I'm still it's like I said earlier, and I don't want to keep saying it, but I'm not finding myself caring about any of these characters. They're not like that intriguing. They're all spoiled, and that's where I wish, because I said this last week, and I hope it continues, I really hope that this is about normal people, so, say, becoming people like the governor. Becoming these bad people, so where we're getting another side of the story of, instead of, hey, we're just trying to survive, it's, hey, this world now has no rules, I'm going to take full advantage of it. And this is where, because I was talking about it a little bit earlier, and then we'll get back into the episode, but this is going to be JazzHandss Conspiracy Theory Hour. Okay, so one prediction that I have, and if this conspiracy is true, okay, I think that Travis might have had a drug problem instead of Madison.
Madison's husband, I think, was the one that they were saying had the drug problem.
That's what I'm thinking.
I could see that, but I could also maybe see Travis having the drug problem, which would explain why Principal Barack Obama was monitoring him and just saying, oh, I do this, we're listening to it, which is probably true. But if it's a teacher that, he's a teacher, but he had a drug problem in the past, which you could clearly see Madison getting him the job, talking in, because it seems like her and Artie were really good friends. It's like, hey, he's a teacher. Yes, he's had a backstory, but he's cleaning up. He's getting better. Can he have a job? It's like, well, yeah, sure, because The Walking Dead and Fear the Walking Dead, they don't do anything that doesn't come up later. So I feel that him viewing him was something that it's like, hey, you got to kind of watch this guy. And as well as the Salazar saying that, only good men die in this world. Now
good men are the first to die.
Yeah.
Yes. Now we do have these characters, and of course what I call the just scene of
mushy.
Yeah. You'll never lose me. You'll never lose me. It's like, okay, one of you's clearly going to die by the end. One of you's going to die at some point. You're not Glenn and Maggie. You're not. That's not like a cute little couple moment. It's oh my god, there's just drama for no reason whatsoever. But I really do feel that if the wife dies, if Madison does die, it could bring Travis down to a point where he was before, and then have him kind of keep spiraling down from him trying to be a good man and trying to make it and trying to be a good father to he's now the governor. He's now becoming more evil, more bad, and I think on that character aspect, I would kind of like to see.
I don't know if he's got that kind of backbone, though, to do something like that. I mean...
That we know of.
That we know of. I would see more... If anybody's turning into the governor, it's going to be Nick.
Yeah.
See, and this is where I think a good story could come out, too, where you got this quote-unquote guy that everyone thinks could turn to the governor, and he might turn out to be...
Nick turns out to be Rick.
Glenn the Second, extremely good. He was down, and so then all of a sudden you have this really kind of interesting story element. That's just a prediction. I don't know. I'm probably totally wrong.
Well, that's one of the things that I noticed about Nick is Nick seems to be taking over. God, I'm doing it again, but the Glenn position.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
he's. I can get this. I can run here. I can go. I can. Yeah. I can make this run, and I can get into this place, and I can find this stuff. Right now, it's mainly obsessed with finding something to get high off of.
Yeah.
Which doesn't give me a lot of sympathy for that character. I kind of think he's kind of a jerk.
Yeah.
And that's part of the reason I have problems relating to that.
Mm-hmm.
But
yeah, he had his ups and downs definitely in this episode. From one of the first scene from him crushing the pills and Madison scolding him for it, to the scene that I mentioned earlier in our other break with him saying the truth. It's like, look, they're not sick, they're just dead. And then later in the episode, again, getting angry, like you said, JazzHandss, about his pills being taken away.
Well, not only that, he gets busted by the little girl at the house next door to the house he's getting ready to break into.
Yeah. For
more drugs. He's like, yeah, I got a butter knife, and they got bars on the windows, but I think I could... Oh. Hi.
Yeah.
How are you?
Like,
I was just doing nothing, and she's got her cute little doll, and pretty soon she's going to be like trying to bite Nick's face off. I'm just saying.
That scene for me was very kind of weird because it's like, for me, it seemed more like there is trying to be a good person inside of him, and he is a genuinely nice guy. It's just the drugs have messed him up. So for that's at least what I gather from the last little bit. I'm still not liking the character.
I can't stand the fact that he sits there and goes, I need my medicine. It's like, it's not medicine, it's drugs, dude. If it was medicine, you would be lowering the dosage. You're
You'd
just
be
trying to
weaning
get
off of
higher
it.
and higher and higher.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dude, you suck. No. Yeah,
Well,
you do, but
as a character, yeah, right now he does suck. I think a lot of characters suck, but
he's kind of the token jerk character, the one
Yeah.
that you don't like right off the bat.
yeah.
I don't know. I thought we were supposed to have that with Chris or whatever.
Yeah, Chris is actually personally I'm ambivalent about Chris.
Chris, that's Travis's
Travis's
son.
son.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. He seems like from one minute it's spoiled, but you can kind of see where he's coming from with it. However, he
doesn't seem like he's spoiled because he's, given everything he wants. He seems like he's kind of rebelling against Dad because Dad wasn't around, and he just really doesn't want to be around Dad because, like, Dad sucks.
Yeah.
And
Oh, another thing for my theory.
Dear.
When Travis went to go help and make sure that his son's nose was okay.
Oh.
And he's
Yeah.
like, yeah, you know how many broken noses I've gotten in the past. Let's take a look. Like, stuff is ramping up to where he has a pass, and Travis might seem as super more passive now because he's trying to hide that.
no, maybe
Through
not.
him.
Maybe not hide, but maybe get away from, because a
Yeah.
lot of
Yeah.
people with alcohol problems will do this. Oh yeah, I've had a nose broken a couple of times. Yeah. Oh, just way back when, bar fights and whatnot.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know, and just kind of, it's not a big deal. Yeah, I can fix this, but
Yeah. And so that's where I think it's going. Now, I do want to talk about the daughter, whose name
Alicia.
Alicia.
I want to talk about Alicia because, and this is also too with Fear the Walking Dead, how it's going now. They set up such typical kind of scenes that you know is going to happen. Like when she went into the house, it's like, and she was kind of wandering around from people. It's like, oh, a walker's going to attack. Okay, it didn't attack. There was no walker in there.
We got a warning though.
When she ran back to get the shell, she's like, there's going to be a walker in there. And sure enough, there was a walker in there.
Yeah, that was Susan, wasn't it?
Yeah, Susan.
Yeah, that was that was their neighbor when they went back to
Yeah,
get the
Susan.
Yeah, the one that watched the kids when they were little, which is
Yeah.
pretty
And
creepy.
chowed on the kids as they got older, or tried to chow on the kids as they got older.
Yeah.
And the scene for me just seems super predictable. I don't know if anyone else could kind of like called it that way, where it's like, oh, there's going to be a walker in there. Oh, there's going to be a walker in there. But it just seemed so horror movie predictable.
Speaking of things, one thing that's been called out on the internet is, why the hell has Nick not changed clothes? He's still in the old guy clothes he stole from the hospital when he busted out.
Yeah.
I love that. I hadn't really noticed it.
that is
Then
a
I
good
look
point.
back on it. I'm like, he's been home for, like 2 days. Really?
And
Seriously?
I think Alicia's changed her outfit like a couple of times already.
That's
yeah.
a girl. She's going
Hey.
to. Hey,
That's a girl in L.A.
Okay.
That's true.
That's
That's
better.
that's a spoiled girl in L.A. Yeah,
Yeah.
she's been like through 19 outfits, and it's only been 2 hours.
Yeah.
I'm so Julie's gonna kick me over this one. But yeah, I mean Nick. I mean seriously, yeah, he's a drug addict, but he barfed all over the old guy clothes. He stole from the old guy who died next to him
Yeah.
in the hospital.
Yep.
Really? Are you gonna keep wearing? Are you like young Johnny Depp trying to be
Because he is looking.
octogenarian Johnny Depp? I
He
mean,
looks
seriously,
like Johnny Depp.
he does.
like Johnny Depp.
Yeah,
Why
he does.
He looks like young Johnny Depp did.
Yeah, you look at it, like I look at some of the pictures and like he looks just like Johnny Depp.
It's scary. But yeah, I mean, why has Nick not changed his clothes, especially after having his little drug-induced seizure, withdrawal-induced seizure, and vomiting all over himself? And
I think that's just like a minor thing right now with like kind of the quote unquote other kind of complaints that we've gotten that we have going on with the show right now. I mean,
it's nitpicky, it's minor, but come on, man. Even though he's an addict and he's probably zonked out of his mind most of the time based on the amount of oxy he's sitting there crushing up and doing whatever, I don't care.
Yeah.
But come on, man, have a little self-respect, dude.
Yeah.
Change your clothes once in a while.
yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
Rick, Daryl, those guys, they don't change their clothes. Why? They're not sitting in their cozy home playing Monopoly when the power goes out.
Oh, that was another
Want
thing.
to mention that?
Yeah, it would not take them that fast to set that game up.
That's
It would have. Yeah, it would have taken them so much longer. That's That's an inconsistency right there. That bothers me more than the clothes. It would not take that long to set that game up. They'd be doing it.
In the dark?
Yeah, in the dark. They'd be doing that, and then they'd be like, you know what? I'm done. We lost a piece. The piece I wanted, I'm just going to go over there for typical teens like that. Like, inconsistencies, man.
Okay, can I mention something else aside from that?
Yeah.
About that scene. Okay, now, I don't remember exactly. It was one of the times we got swapped from the story from seeing Travis's side to seeing Madison and the kids in the house. I don't remember the exact context, but it was saying, I think it was Alicia, I think, saying, you know, this feels like too familiar, or this feels like deja vu. We've sat here, we've done this before, we've sat here before.
She said I don't do good with waiting for people to get home when I don't think they're going to. Or something along those lines.
I think that might have either one of two things, either referenced her father.
That's what Dad. I was thinking.
Or referenced her brother.
No, I think that was Dad, and
Dad.
that's why I think that their father, Nick and Alicia's father, is the one. Madison's ex-husband is the one who had the drug problem, and I think he's probably dead because of it.
Yeah, they said that he's dead. You know, he's not in the picture anymore, so he might have, might have overdosed, and that might, who knows, that might have been what influenced Nick to be a drug addict, was from what his dad did.
I don't know. I mean, that's still a lot.
It's a theory of mine. So
yeah, and that's fine. Now I want to talk about real quick because we're slowly running out of time. We got we got a little bit left, but okay, the whole part where the neighbor attacked
Susan, yeah.
Yes, Susan, and I don't know what was like. It was just so weird. There was so much stuff because she was one of the creepiest walkers that we've gotten, which we talked about it a little bit earlier off air. But it seems like with this, they're not calling them walkers; they're calling them sick, and that they are clearly. It's trying to establish that these are still people to them. Yeah,
they're sick, or it's their names. They haven't said walker or creeper or crawler. They said sick, or they've called them by their names.
Yeah,
because so far, almost all the walkers that we've seen that they've kind of come in contact with,
they've known.
Yeah, have been people that they know. So it's clear that they're still. Showing us that these characters are seeing these things as people.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. I mean, it's your neighbor. And that's the other thing is this is very, very early in the outbreak. So it's not like you're not going to recognize the dude across the street, because he looks like just like the dude across the street, except for he maybe got a little too high or too drunk and he's kind of stumbly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's not like in The Walking Dead where you have these fully
rotting,
decaying, falling apart, bones out in that grin that they have when the skin pulls back from their teeth and their lips shrivel and they're, they just look like their neighbors who, for some reason, won't talk to them and go,
and that's scary. And that's scary. And that's what I would have loved to have seen a little bit more in the city.
I think we're going to see more of that in the suburb. I think they're going to gloss over the city unless they feel the need to go back and, like, the Salazars need to get something, or they try and get her to a hospital. They find out there's a hospital that's functioning. Mm-hmm. Because my thing, where's the media?
Yeah.
I mean, seriously, where is the media? Why do they not have a portable transistor radio, a weather radio, something on? I mean, it's not going to shut down all the radio and TV stations immediately. You look at any Romero movie, and the radio and TV stations stay on for a couple of days. Oh, we're not sure what's going on here, but some bad things are happening.
Here's the thing, and this is what I wanted to kind of, okay, so they mentioned that the media is not covering it. They said that.
Tobias did mention that, but
not Tobias. What's his face?
What's he look like?
Johnny Depp.
Nick.
Yes, thank you. Nick mentioned it too. That why aren't they airing any of this? Why aren't they airing any of this?
Yeah,
and realistically, stuff has started falling apart. Mm-hmm. But it's still not that bad. Schools are starting to shut down. Some hospitals are starting to shut down. Some of the powers fluctuate in and out.
Some of the hospitals are on fire.
It's still not because of the outbreak quite yet. It's more than likely because of the rioting. However, the cops know about the outbreak. So realistically, they are still some people are still thinking that things are okay. These characters know it's not because of these things and that they need to get out of town and get to the city.
Some of them know it's not.
Yeah.
I mean, they all know it's not, but some of them have faced the reality a lot more quickly than others.
Yeah, and I swear, because I can see this coming up, I swear to God, if the teenage daughter sneaks out to go see if her boyfriend's dead or alive, I'm gonna that's gonna make me so mad.
I got to agree with that.
And
one.
she did say, "Well, Matt's not like that. Matt's not like
Yeah.
that." It's like, yeah, Matt is.
Yeah.
I wanted
Matt
to choke her. It's like, yes, he's like that. He's gone. Bye bye.
Once again,
Sorry.
we are all people who have watched 5 seasons of The Walking Dead. We know how this works. They did not have the luxury of seeing what Rick and his group have gone through.
Yeah.
So if I honestly think, and there was something that we pulled up. I know I pulled it up on Cinema Blend. The first episode got 17 million viewers. The third episode, that dropped to 7.2.
Yeah.
Episode 2 brought in 8.2 million, and 7.2 million was episode 3, The Dog. And I really think had this one come out first, it would have retained viewership a lot more than it is currently because it's showing all of this. And unfortunately, the target audience for Fear the Walking Dead is Walking Dead fans. We already know all this stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's where I'm saying, and that's where maybe I'm having a problem too, because they know it's not like, hey, let's kind of try the show and kind of try to get a new audience. It's the audience that watches The Walking Dead are going to be watching this too. So they clearly know, so why not play it differently? Why not have a little bit more fun with it? And why, have a bunch of character building or story building that really has, so far for me at least, led really nowhere?
I can say this. I think what they're doing is they're kind of, and I really hate to say it, but I think they're kind of throwing away the first season, since it's only 6 episodes, as exposition, character development, and setting the scene. I think we talked about this a little bit off the air, but I think the end of season 1 is going to be them making it out into the desert and turning around looking, and LA is in flames. LA is being nuked, helicopters swarming everywhere, locking everyone down, shooting people on sight.
We're seeing what Shane and Lori saw back in Georgia.
Yeah, which was terrifying.
And that's where I think they're going to end season 1, and then season 2 is going to pick up right after that, and we're back in familiar territory for anybody who is a Walking Dead fan.
Georgia.
Yeah.
Not Georgia, but no. They're not going to make it to Georgia. I think they will eventually cross the 2 shows, but I don't think it's going to be anytime soon.
Okay. No. And realistically, I hope that it does happen with the city, but I want to see more stuff in the city. I want to see more fun stuff of them running from block to block to try to get out of the city, or dodging these, walkers and stuff. I mean, make it kind of like Left 4 Dead. Like, you're trying to move out of the city and get to a safer place. Maybe they can go down into a subway.
Here's an interesting thought, though. What's it going to be like if they get stuck out in the desert? I mean, there's really no place to shelter. There's no place to hide. But there's not much of a chance of a walker being, hidden down in a ravine and coming on, while you're walking around or whatnot, because it's sand. There's lots of it. There's not much foliage. There's nowhere to hide, really.
This is just a little, joke thing, but I really hope if they ever do make it to the desert, somehow, some way, we see the pants.
Huh?
Heisenberg's pants.
Oh.
That would be kind of funny.
That just as a little nod, just real quick, find some pants.
I could see them doing that. I could really see them doing that.
Yeah, just quick little fun, hey, there's a pair of pants, and then they just leave it. Not even mention.
Dude,
they
don't
just
even
walk
worry
in.
about it, man. It's probably somebody who's one of them.
Yeah, like, I don't know, that just would have been fun, but the desert would definitely be interesting, because you could take these people, and this is kind of what I've said, what I want to see in The Walking Dead, and I wouldn't mind seeing it here, however, it doesn't snow. I've wanted to see the winter. I wanted to see Dead of Winter, the snow, because I've heard from the comics that there's a lot of cool and fun scenes where, like, someone's walking, and they'll put their foot in the ground, and all of a sudden, a walker will just bite their leg, because they're just buried under the snow.
Now, I will say this. You won't see that in Georgia, but now that The Walking Dead is in Alexandria, Virginia,
Yeah.
they get snow.
Yeah, and so that's kind of what I'm...
So that is a possibility for this season, but I'm not going to go
That'd be
there.
nice.
Yeah, it's like we've seen these walkers now for 5 seasons, and I am counting The Walking Dead as fan base. We've seen these zombies for 5 seasons. We've seen them in the woods. We've seen them in mud. We've seen them sort of in the city. I would like to see them more in the city, but we've seen them in a lot of different areas. Except like, let's have a little bit more fun with it. Let's have snow walkers. Let's actually check out some desert walkers.
Mountain walkers.
Yeah, like let's take us to kind of show us what the different kind of walkers. I mean, we've seen the burnt walkers from season 4.
I want to see Grand Canyon walkers.
Yeah, but like just different sorts of walkers that might, I don't know, be like more fun. Either way, so let's get back to actually Fear the Walking Dead. What'd you guys think about the military kind of coming in?
I was not sure if they were going to make it this episode or next episode. I'm glad they did it the way they did, with just right at the end, and Salazar looking out the window and going, "It's already too late."
Yeah.
And I don't know that he's necessarily talking about the whole Walker situation. I think he's talking about the military's already here. We're all screwed.
Yeah,
basically.
Yeah, because definitely, I think in his country, he kind of dealt with
There's a little mistrust of the military.
Yeah.
which is understandable, and I'm wondering if we're going to get any military people to join Rick and his group. Travis.
Rick?
I'm excited for season 6, y'all. God.
He just wants to be out of this season and going back to Walking Dead.
Honestly, it's kind of like that. I have that feeling because I thought this would be a nice little tie-over, but because there are such problems with the show that I'm having, and it is ramping up, like you've said, Paul. It is definitely ramping up, and it is slowly starting to become good, but it's still moving slow and not showing enough of what could be fun.
In order for it to get to the stage where Walking Dead is, they have to show zombies, and they're starting to do that more and more.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
The biggest fault that most people that I've heard mention Fear the Walking Dead have is that you really don't have that Rock character, that Anchor, that Daryl Dixon, that Rick, that Glenn. There is no character that you look at and go, I'm going to cry when this character dies. I mean, I was on the verge of or in tears when Herschel was beheaded.
Oh, yeah. Like, that was such a powerful,
Beth.
powerful scene. And
You don't care about Beth, but it hit me when Beth was like, oh my God, she just found her stones and stood up and knew what she had to do, and bam,
Bye-bye.
she's taken care of because of stupidity.
yeah, and I can agree with that. Like, even though the Beth
don't care
arc
about- you
wasn't
don't care
my,
about
thing, I still felt something because the characters felt something. Because the characters were so emotionally crippled that even though I didn't really like Beth as a character, I still was like, oh, I feel bad because the characters feel bad. And I'll even go one step further to where not just characters you gravitate to or like, but even characters you gravitate to because you hate. Merle, like in the first season.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
You kind of hated Merle, but you loved that you hated Merle. He was such an interesting, kind of fun character that was just kind of this...
Oh, Michael Rooker was awesome.
I love him. I love him. I wish he was still around, but...
Yeah, but you're right. We don't have that.
There's like either characters you love or hate, and it's not like, oh well, I hate Nicholas because Nick because he's a drug addict, or I like Travis because he's a good man. It's like I don't care yet.
Yeah.
Make me care.
That's the biggest thing. That's what they have to do by the end of episode 6.
Yeah.
If they can't make us care
Even for one character.
about this blended, no, they're going to really have to get at least either the Salazars or Travis and Maddie and their blended family, even with Liza in. They're going to have to make you care about that family enough.
Yeah.
Because otherwise, what's the point in tuning in
for next season.
Yeah.
And it seems like that's almost what they're doing is they're like, okay, we're going to build this. We're going to bore you to tears the first season, and we're going to ramp it up so slowly because you're going to know everything about all these characters. And then season 2, we're really going to kick your butt.
That's what I'm hoping for. However, I don't want to because we had an actually pretty interesting discussion, Paul, on my Facebook, and it actually stirred a lot of other people.
There were a few people commenting.
Yeah, and which was nice. So I guess it is kind of doing its job of making people talk.
Yeah.
So it is doing that. However, it was like one of the people said who's a DJ here, or was a DJ.
Yeah, still.
Yeah, still, Mike K, big old Mike. You said that like it's a moneymaker, and that there's no wonder that it's not doing good. I'm still holding out to say that this isn't a moneymaker. I think it could possibly be, which is why the characters aren't as flushed and developed and as fun as some of the others. But it's still I'm holding out that it's not a moneymaker yet.
Yeah, I'm hoping they didn't design this purely as a cash cow. But I think if they play it right, it will be. But they need to play it right. And with any good story, you have to care about the characters. And you have to have some worry about them when you're in the middle of the story and when they leave you at a cliffhanger. And really, they did the cliffhanger ending on this episode. But I'm just like, okay, so next week we find out what the military has in store for them. Okay.
Basically.
Which
cool.
is either going to be...
It's either going to be cool
You
or
guys
not
are the
cool.
lucky ones, as the trailer began.
Yeah, and that's where I'm wondering, are they already kind of setting up a bad guy with that guy of a military kind of person that's very...
Realistically, the person I'm most concerned about right now is Patrick, Susan's husband, that was going in to hug his wife.
And
Yes.
And
did
they
he get
shot...
bit?
I don't think
No,
so.
no, they shot
think
her right
pegged
before.
her right in the head as she was about ready to take a chomp out of him.
So the military definitely knows how to take these things down.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
But it's still going to be interesting to see how they fall. And what I'm hoping with, if they do get like a military person right off the bat, we do kind of hear some of the behind the scenes of what the military's been doing.
I'm thinking it's going to be... I think what's going to happen is we're going to see the military come in. I think that's probably going to be their first big bad, so to speak, is the military. And I think what we're going to see is somebody from the military breaks off with this group and says, man, I can't work under this guy anymore. I know everything's going to hell. I'm going to go with you guys. I'm going to get as far away from this as I possibly can because realistically right now there is no military. There is no hierarchy. I'm going to save my butt. I'm going to help you guys save yours. And that's where they're going to get their badassery, their firepower. This is their guy who can teach them how to survive. That's kind of my prediction on this is there's going to be the good guy military and the bad guy military.
Yeah, and we're out of time. I think that's actually a pretty good kind of way to kind of end it. You're listening to Fear the Dead Air on KCFE Ferguson, 89.5 The Wave. And this was an awesome episode.
I think it was.
I agree.
think we talked a little bit about the episode, but I think we definitely kind of dove deeper into the character development, which is needed.
Definitely.
To definitely talk and see how these characters are progressing. So that right there, I think, is pretty good. And I'm going to stick around. I'm sticking around till the end, and we're going to see how this plays out. I'm hoping that it some of the I'm really hoping that this isn't just for a moneymaker. I'm holding out, and I'm holding out that it's not going to be. Well, season 2 is going to get good. Stick around for season 2 because I feel when a show just does, hey, let's get this season out real quick and then start focusing on season 2. It's not as, it's like, well, if you didn't care about season 1, well, then why should I care about the series as in and of itself?
Right.
But yes, there are some complaints, but it seems like it is ramping up, and I'm excited to stick around. So thanks, everybody, for tuning in. I had a blast.
Same here.
Same here.
Yep. We will see you guys next week, same time. Oh, and real quick, if you've missed... if you missed any of our episodes, actually, in the past, we are now uploading them online. That is right. You can check out my Facebook, facebook.com/STLDeadAir. You can hear this episode, which should be going up tomorrow, and our past episodes, episode 1 and 2 of Fear the Dead Air, all online, and it will send you a link to the Facebook page or to my YouTube too, and you can go check them out. So we got that going on. So
Awesome.
Either way, see you next week.
Bye.
See ya.